What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for February 20th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast. We finally have some non-Eagles and Phillies stuff to talk about today. Not a lot, but some. As we always do, let's start off with some housekeeping, though. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, also at Jimbo_Mont, and continue to spread the word as we outsmart the algorithm. It's a slow burn. Things have been consistently growing. It's slow, but I thank you all for your loyal support. And then go check out my friends at On Pattison. You can go to the website or get the email newsletter delivered right to your inbox. Great Philly sports coverage. Specifically the Phillies, as we're in the midst of spring training. We're featured in there a couple days a week on the newsletter. So go check them out, support them. You won't be disappointed. Great coverage of all of our Philadelphia teams on Pattison. All right, for the first time in a long time, let's start off with the Phillies. And we're going to start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. All the talk has been about Rob Thompson doing some tweaks to the lineup to try to maximize what's going to happen. So I asked you, who should hit leadoff? 63% of you said it was Trea Turner. 25% said it was Kyle Schwarber. And I do agree that you at least need to get Turner on there. Get his speed. He's disruptive on the base paths. Kind of set the table for the other guys. I want to give a shout out to Dale from New Holland, who said the first shot should go to Trea. And I do. I think that is the ideal person to hit leadoff if, as Kyle from Coatesville mentioned, if he's patient. He seems to think Stott is the guy. I kind of agree. I think his plate approach is that of a leadoff hitter. Whether or not he can do it consistently, though, that is the issue. But it looks like Trea Turner is going to get a shot to hit leadoff. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. We'll have another one here later in the show. And Turner was asked about it. He showed up to camp yesterday after being, I guess, a couple days late after the birth of his third kid. And he's open for it. And he admitted that he hasn't watched any of the film from the end of last season, but did say he felt he reverted back to the way he was swinging and hitting early in 2023 before the standing ovation. So I don't know what to make of that. He acknowledged it, which is more than what he did at the end of last season. So maybe he's coming in with a new approach, a new baby. Who knows? But I do think Trea is going to get the first shot, and I think it's his spot to lose. I do think that the best hitter on the team to hit leadoff, we can't really afford to put him there, and that would be Bryce Harper. I do think the way Schwarber is, you need to get him down in the lineup because just think about all those games that he led off with home runs and if there were people on base. So we'll see what it goes. The first game is Saturday, so looking forward to that. I don't believe it's on TV, but I will be tuning in to listen. But thank you again, as always, for participating in the question of the day. Still want to get your thoughts on the leadoff hitter. Hit me up. Let's have a conversation about it because who knows? I don't have the answer. I don't think it matters, to be quite frank, if the approach of a lot of these hitters doesn't change. And I don't know what it is that they all get into slumps at the same time. That's the issue. Like, obviously, through a long baseball season, hitters are going to go on hot streaks, cold streaks, and it's just the nature of the game. But this team, for whatever reason, when they're hot, everybody's hot, and when they're cold, everybody's cold. They need to kind of balance that out somewhat, and maybe moving Trea up to the top of the order works out. I don't know. We'll see, but that at least now we know the weather's going to get warm. Phillies baseball is right around the corner. All right, we have a big Eagles announcement to make. Kevin Patullo has been named the offensive coordinator. He's been Sirianni's right-hand guy basically since he's been there. I do think you could consider this kind of a ballsy move by Nick Sirianni. They did not interview anybody outside of the organization. And I don't know how to feel about it. On the surface, we know how Jalen feels, and throughout his career going back to college, he's had different offensive coordinators almost every year, and he talked about continuity. I think from that perspective, and we probably at this point won't hear from Jalen until OTAs, but I think from a continuity standpoint, this was the right hire. And he's been with the Eagles since 2021. He's been with Nick Sirianni since 2018, back when they were on the coaching staff at the Colts. The big knock against Patullo is he does not have any experience calling plays. However, he does know the system. In his Super Bowl interview on Media Day, he basically said him and Kellen were combined at the hip, running ideas and having a sounding board. So we'll see. I mean, I don't hate this move at all. I know there was a lot of people yesterday on social media and on the radio kind of questioning it, that not so much that this was not the right hire, but the fact that they did not interview anybody out of the organization. And to me, like, if you knew this is the guy you wanted, and winning the Super Bowl or not, they're not going to just hand over, because one thing about Jeffrey and Howie, they've learned from their mistakes, and they handed the keys to the kingdom off to Chip Kelly, and we saw what happened there. So I do think that there were discussions. I do feel that Jalen gave his input on this. So I don't see the need to go out and interview guys just to prolong the process somewhat. It's sort of the downside, if there is one, of winning the Super Bowl. Obviously, your coordinators are hot commodities, and you kind of pick from the bottom of the barrel. And there's a lot of talk about possibly bringing Dougie P back, bringing Frank Reich back, and some of the other people that are out there. However, I look at it like this. If those guys were guys that teams wanted, why are they still available well after the Super Bowl? So I think interviewing people to just for the sake of interviewing, we're Super Bowl champions. You need to get a head start now, or not even a head start. Play catch up here on the offseason and try to figure out what you want to do. And if Patullo was the guy the entire time, I don't see the need to interview. And I know, like I said, there's a lot of people, it doesn't hurt to interview. And no, it does not hurt to interview. However, what's the point if you already knew who your guy was going to be? And there's a reason why those guys don't have jobs right now. And a lot of them are older guys. We did see it worked out with Vic Fangio. However, I think the fact that Patullo has been so involved in the offense and has been with Jalen pretty much from the beginning, I think that from that standpoint, that continuity really is going to help, because Jalen in his interview said that he has a lot of confidence in him, wasn't ready to commit after on the locker cleanout day and everything. But I find it hard to believe that Howie, Jeffrey, and Nick did not at least get some sort of approval from Jalen before making this move. And truthfully, as far as and I saw a lot of comparisons, a lot of people saying, well, the last time they went in-house, it didn't really work out when they hired Brian Johnson. I think the difference of that is Patullo has 15 years of NFL experience on coaching staffs, where Brian Johnson had 2 before he was named the offensive coordinator. So I think that's a key distinction. I saw that. Somebody posted that on Twitter this morning. And then the other thing with not having any experience calling plays, okay, I mean, that could be an issue. I do feel that based on what he said, he worked very closely with Kellen, so I don't necessarily think it's going to be a huge jump. And we've seen examples of this all the time through NFL history, but even in our own history here with the Eagles. Andy Reid came in with no coordinator experience to be the head coach of the team, and that worked out pretty well. I think if they've done their homework and they feel that this is the guy, it brings stability, it brings some level of continuity it brings continuity and brings some level of stability to the offensive play calling. And I mean, yes, the pressure is on, but I'm okay with it. Like I said, I'm not going to be doing backflips, but at the end of the day, I think as long as the quarterback is okay with it and the quarterback still has that ability, because I saw so many different stats that so often during especially the playoff run, he was audibling out of plays. As long as he has that ability to do that, he did a phenomenal job reading the defense, especially late in the year. If he's still going to have that ability, I think it's fine, because the philosophy is not going to change. When Vic Fangio came in, the whole defensive philosophy completely got thrown out the window. But I think in this case, it's okay. I think we're, like I said, that I keep saying the word, but Jalen says it all the time and has spoken so much about it. But that continuity piece is key. And as long as Jalen's happy, I think we'll be good, and let him cook and do what he's going to do. But that does lead to today's question of the day. Are you on board with the Kevin Patullo signing? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get your thoughts out there. And if you're not okay with it, who would you have rather have seen come in based on all of the other things going on between Sirianni and Hurts and the continuity and all that? Let me know. 267-495-8531. I'm good with it. Like I said, I think it's not a splashy name. I'm not going to be doing backflips over it, but I think it's the right move for this team in the position that they are, especially as we're looking forward to getting ready for the new league year and free agency and all that. But let me know, Kevin Patullo, yay or nay? And if you're a nay, tell me who you would rather have seen them bring in. Would you have rather seen them interview? And if you're on team, yes, they should have interviewed, let me know why. Because I'm having a hard time figuring that out if they knew that this was the guy. And speaking of getting ready for the league's new year, appears the cap is going to go up anywhere. I saw different reports, but basically between $22 and $26 million, which is way more than what it was expected, which is good news for the Eagles with a lot of those big-time free agents that are out there. No chance they're going to be able to re-sign Bond, Becton, Sweat, and Milton Williams. But if I had my choice, I would love to see them bring Bond back and Mekhi Becton. Those are the two that I would, followed by Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. I don't think they're going to be able to afford Sweat and Milton Williams, but we'll see. Howie, it's your time to shine. Of course, all of that gets thrown out the window if somehow he can pull off his magic and bring in Myles Garrett. But it should be an interesting offseason. Howie's going to have more money than what he thought he would to play with, which, again, bodes well, specifically for Zach Bond. I think nothing against Mekhi Becton. I think he came in and did a great job. I would love to see him back. I think offseason priority, re-signing our own free agent, number one, is Zach Bond. And now that he has more room to play with, I think he should be able to get it done. So we'll see what happens, but buckle up. It's going to be an interesting few weeks here. All right. Remember the Sixers? Yeah. Unfortunately, do you remember the Sixers? They are back in action tonight after the All-Star break at home versus the Boston Celtics. Does look like Joe is going to play. He was a full participant in practice yesterday as well as Tuesday. It's basically do or die, I think, for this team. Coming out of the break, I think you have maybe a 5 to 10 game stretch to kind of see the direction. Could I see them going on a run, winning 9 of the next 10? Absolutely. Is that likely? Probably not. So I think this is essentially where we're going to see. And I would even go maybe the next 5 games and how they respond. If they go anything less than 3-2 and Joe does need a surgery, I think it's time to shut it down. Paul George will not be playing tonight as he still recovers from the pinky injury. I don't know if it's nerve damage or what, but if we can somehow just get out of that contract. Anyway, but currently heading into the post-All-Star break, Sixers are a game and a half out of the 10th seed behind the Bulls. 10th seed gets into the play-in tournament, which I don't want to see. However, the positive take on this, and this is why these next 5 to 10 games are going to be so critical, they're currently tied with the Nets for the 6th spot in the draft. which that's the magic number there. Anything 6 or 7 or lower, or I guess 7 or higher, they will lose the pick. If they're 1 through 6, they keep it. So if they are not going to make the playoffs, we need them to get minimally the 6th game. And they're only 3.5 back of the 5th spot in the draft. So very critical stretch, one way or the other, coming up for the Sixers here as they open up the post-All-Star break tonight against the Celtics at the Wells Fargo Center. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of great things going on with their Sports Fan Network. And if you're not sure what that means, go to clashingconferences.com. Check it out. They got a lot of opportunities and things for you to get your voice heard, have a little bit of fun, and things like that. So go check them out. A couple good basketball podcasts are going on right now. So go check them out, clashingconferences.com, as well as anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And then go to Philly Goat. Like I said, the slides were all over my news feeds yesterday. Cannot wait. I'm going to end up doing it. I know it's going to end up happening. I'm going to buy more than one because I can't decide. But I will be getting them. I'm just going to be all Philly goated out at the pool this year. Might as well just put that out there now. I'm going to get a pair of slides. I already got the cooler backpack, which was key for the parade, by the way. So if you can somehow get your hands on a varsity cooler from Philly Goat, I highly recommend you do it. Get the championship slides, buy a t-shirt to match. They got you covered to celebrate the Super Bowl. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. All one word. The orders have been coming in since the Super Bowl, so let's keep it going. You got the extra money. You want to spend you want to buy and spend your money on championship gear. Why not? I already got the champ sweatshirt. Can't wait for the slides as soon as I figure out which ones I'm going to spend my money on. But be sure to use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today we're going to go back to the year 2000. And on this day in 2000, one of my all-time favorite teams pulled off one of the best wins in John Chaney's tenure at Temple. On this day, the number 15 Temple Owls traveled to Cincinnati to take on the number 1 ranked Bearcats, and they left with a 77-69 win. Point guard Pepe Sanchez wasn't expected to play. He sprained his ankle against the Dayton Flyers earlier that week. At the last minute, he was healthy enough to play. 38 minutes. He only scored 7 points, but had 5 assists, but provided the leadership and just the stability that only Pepe could provide that for that team. He was the perfect point guard for those teams. Mark Karcher had 25 points. Quincy Wadley and Lynn Greer added 16 and 15 respectively. The Owls overcame a 6-point deficit with 8 minutes left. It did look like Cincinnati was going to pull away and win this game. However, the Owls caught fire, took the lead and never relinquished it. Cincinnati, for them, it was their first loss in 16 games. And even more impressively for the Owls, they handed the Cincinnati Bearcats their first loss at home in 42 games. And on top of it, the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, it was John Chaney's 400th win at Temple. I remember a few of my buddies went out to Cincinnati. I have a friend who lives right across the border in Kentucky. Was not able to make this trip, so we were watching at the fraternity house. Remember pouring out onto Broad Street and just the pure excitement and jubilation of knocking off the number 1 Cincinnati Bearcats, which was a good rivalry with Temple back in the day. And it seems like Chaney always beat Bob Huggins in big spots like that. And after this win, though, we had dreams of the Final Four, as Temple did move up to be ranked number 8 in the next poll. This was a Sunday game, so when the polls came out on Monday, they were ranked number 8. And then I also vaguely remember, or I shouldn't say vaguely, I remember it very well. It was interviewed, I believe it was by Channel 6 or Channel 10, that Monday at work after the polls came out and we moved up to number 8. Gave this great insight on how great it was for Temple, my aspiring sportscaster, even back then, or podcaster. Gave great insight on why Temple was a Final Four favorite, this, that, and the other. The only clip they had of me on there was going, "We're number 8. we're number 8, which I have no idea where that came from, why I had it, but throughout the entire piece, as they went around and interviewed everybody else on Temple's campus, they kept flashing back to me going, we're number 8. Not my finest moment, but hey, any TV time is good TV time. But you might remember that was the Ty Shine year, the year that the Owls had the 2 seed and got upset in Seton Hall after Shaheen Holloway, the Seton Hall Pirates' best player, got hurt. We were like, oh, we got this. And then Ty Shine came off the bench and just could not miss. But on this day, it was pure jubilation for the Temple Owls as they knocked off the number 1 Cincinnati Bearcats 77-69 out in Cincinnati. We rushed Broad Street. We had a good time back when Temple basketball used to sell out the Liacouras Center. I was so disappointed last weekend when I went and there was nobody there. Like the student section was just bare. Man, my, how far we have fallen. All right, and finally today, our Black History legacy maker with Philadelphia ties is Herman Frazier. Herman is a Germantown High graduate and a world-class sprinter. He ran for the Philadelphia Pioneers Track Club and legendary coach Alex Woodley. He's an 8-time All-American at Arizona State, a national champion, team national champion at Arizona State, and then went on to have a very good Olympic career. He won the gold in the 4x400 relay as the lead anchor, and then bronze in the 400 individual at the 1976 Olympics. He's a 2-time Pan Am Games gold medal in the 4x4 relay race. Unfortunately, he was not able to compete in the 1980 Olympics due to the boycott. After retiring from running, though, he really kept giving back to student athletes and young people. He served as various athletic director roles at Arizona State, UAB, Hawaii, Temple, as well as Syracuse. He served in various capacities on the U.S. Olympic Committee. He was on the Fiesta Bowl Committee. He won the NCAA Silver Anniversary Award, which goes to distinguished former student athletes on the 25th anniversary of their graduation. Also has that Congressional Medal of Honor for not being able to compete in the 1980 Olympics. He's a Philadelphia Sports Hall of Famer, an Arizona State Hall of Famer, and still to this day continues to give back to student athletes all over the country. So shout out to you, Herman, for not only a very distinguished career as a sprinter, but also as in your various capacities as athletic director and then serving on the U.S. Olympic Committee as well as the Fiesta Bowl Committee and just making sure student athletes are set up for success. So Herman, today we salute you. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for being a role model and just keep on keeping on, and we do appreciate it. On this day in the year 2000, Temple knocked off number 1 Cincinnati out in Cincinnati 77-69. They would go on to be the number 8 team in the country, get the 2 seed before battling out in the second round to Seton Hall when Ty effing Shine just caught fire. We'll have more on the Sixers tomorrow, as well as Phillies spring training updates. But let me know, how are we feeling about Kevin Patullo? Yay or nay? And again, if you're a nay, tell me who you would have liked to have seen. 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. Be sure to buy the slides from Philly Goat and use that promo code. They're awesome. Trust me. Go look at them for yourself. You won't be disappointed. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for February 20th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.